Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture.
And I'm Adam Nicholas from What Culture.
And coming up, are AEW about to bring back the Attitude Era?
Chris Jericho shoots on last night's Money in the Bank.
And Lana has her say too. This is the news.
This is indeed the news. But first, the big news we have for you is that a new WWE title is on its way. Last night it was announced that Mick Foley will be making an appearance on tonight's Monday Night Raw to unveil a brand new title to the WWE Universe. What title that will be, we don't know yet. This is very exciting stuff, Adam Wilborn.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what this is because there's loads of speculation doing the rounds on what it could be. It could be a multitude of different things. My first thought with Mick Foley unveiling it is, right, they're bringing back the hardcore title and he's just going to hand it over to the man himself, Jon Moxley, a.k.a. Dean Ambrose, because him leaving WWE is a work. I've only got a few days left before he turns up at AEW.
You've only got a few days left because before Double or Nothing, get it all in now while you can. It's still a work according to him. I'm not convinced. No. Personally, the hardcore title would be interesting. Yeah. I don't think, for me, it's going to be a hardcore title.
No.
Because TV-PG and all that. But it could potentially be something like maybe a women's mid-card title because I know we've got the tag team titles now. We've got the two Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. Maybe something for the people who are idling about in the middle.
I like that. I like that as a sort of stepping stone up there because there's a lot of people, it'd be weird or difficult for you to suddenly elevate them from jobber status or, not being utilised that much to suddenly being like, right, okay, now you're facing Charlotte or Becky or whoever. But I think a mid-card title would be something, and it'd be great if you give it someone like, a Mickie James or something like that. It would really work.
Well, I guess if you had the mid-card title, maybe Lacey Evans, for example, has been pushed straight into the main title picture. She's had a chance at Becky. Yes, obviously, spoilers, for anybody who didn't watch last night, she didn't win, but she maybe wouldn't have to make such a big leap if that was a mid-card title. That would allow her a chance to maybe ease their way in, a bit like they do with the Intercontinental title on Monday Night Raw.
I suppose the only difficulty with it all is the fact that they've already struggled with the tag titles and they've clearly got a limited women's roster for now anyway, and they're stretching that fairly thin, and it'd be weird to then also chuck that into the mix. So there's lots of speculation that maybe it's going to be some sort of TV title for the men's.
Yeah, so I think that's probably something that would make a lot of sense because of the TV ratings, that they need to have something that's going to something unpredictable that people are going to want to see, and also perhaps to help out this wild card rule, because let's be honest, I know it's a wild card rule, so it obviously by nature has to be a bit crazy, but that's been shoehorned in there to try and help get all of the talents on all of the shows whenever they need them. Maybe having a title there, like a TV title, as you say, is making that a little bit more legitimate.
Yeah, the wild card rule is bollocks, and having a TV title where someone comes out, a bit like, John Cena's classic Open Challenge, comes out and just goes, on either Raw or SmackDown, right, I've got this belt, who fancies challenging me tonight? And you can bring people through from NXT, bring people through we haven't seen in ages, nice surprise appearances. That'd be something ideal for something like that. Or, our final conclusion, if it's none of those things, just please make a new Universal title, because it's crap.
Make something new that isn't a red gummy title, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, Mick Foley's not got a great history with unveiling recent belts, does he?
No, he hasn't, but, at the end of the day,
good luck, Mick.
Mick Foley can't mess it up on Raw.
Challenge accepted.
Hold my beer.
Right.
Mr. Socko.
Speaking of Mr. Socko, Mick Foley and the Attitude Era, could it be coming back with AEW? Because a recent announcement regarding AEW and all of its production and teasing for Double or Nothing, which of course is coming up next weekend, has shown that AEW's production is going to be TV-14. Now, if you're thinking, what does that remind me of? That was what WWE was prior to I think it was summer 2008. They changed to TV-PG, which of course they are now. And it's just another step of AEW separating themselves out from WWE. They're saying, look, you're catering, not necessarily catering to a younger audience, but we're catering to a demographic of people that we feel have been overlooked and sidelined for quite a long time, and it's an interesting thing because they're basically setting up their stalls and going like, you do it for them, we do it for them, and let's see which the wrestling audience wants to watch. Now, it wasn't all good in the Attitude Era. Sometimes it was just sex sells for the sake of sex selling, and we know a lot about that, of course. But I'm intrigued to see what happens with this going forward, because one of the issues as well with WWE is perhaps it was also a sponsorship thing. So AEW clearly not having issues with that.
Well, clearly, if they are going to have sponsors who are happy to let that go, then I guess they're going to cater towards them. The interesting thing here is that the one thing that AEW have playing into their hands is to be different, to provide an alternative to WWE. So this is just another one of those things whereby they can offer something that the competition isn't offering. Yes, the question is, we've all watched the Attitude Era stuff back. Some of it is extremely questionable at best. some of it holds some of our fondest memories of wrestling, but do you think this is going to play it into their favour, or do you think that's going to be more of a hindrance in the long term?
I think if it was WWE doing it, they'd just turn the dial up to 11 again and it'd just be all the same for every single segment. I think AEW are hopefully going to use this quite sparingly. So effectively it could be TV PG for, let's say, 9/10 of the product, but when they need to, when they need to, like, blood or sex or violence, whatever, then they can do that within their remit. But I don't think it's going to be one of those things where, every other segment it's just going to be effing and jeffing all over the place and chair shots to everywhere and everyone.
I don't think this suddenly opens the door for unprotected chair shots are back on the table, because obviously we've made a lot of advancement in terms of concussions and that sort of thing. It'd be interesting to see what a modern day version of this looks like, though, because what would it look like? Because we've only got the Attitude Era to compare it with, and that was like the Wild Wild West. There was nothing to stop people from doing literally whatever they wanted, pretty much.
I think you've hit the nail on the head, though. It's one of those things where AEW have looked at the bigger wrestling picture and gone, okay, if WWE are going left here, we're going right.
It's just an alternative, isn't it? It gives you something to
I'm excited. I can't
It's
wait.
good. But a guy very much involved with AEW, Mr. Chris Jericho, had a bit of a say about last night's Money in the Bank on Twitter. Of course, always a bit of a trigger-happy man when it comes to Twitter. And basically, he said, awesome to see Brock Lesnar win the Money in the Bank match last night, even though he wasn't officially entered! Brock is the future of the biz, and this perfect example of genius booking, shows why WWE will remain on top forever! #Go Brock Go.
Now, we bought a new sarcasm and analysis machine, which has exploded after reading that tweet. Because, the troll is strong on this one.
Wow.
Look, I was going to say it's divided.
You're a bear.
Yeah.
He's a bear. I'm Chris Jericho.
I was going to say Brock Lesnar returning to get Money in the Bank has divided opinion. It hasn't. A lot of people are pissed off. A lot of people are saying cancel WWE Network. A lot of people are saying, oh, here we go, back to the bad old days of a year ago or whatever. A lot of people are saying AEW can't come soon enough. And it's just, I think he's just very sticking his finger in the air, getting a sense of how people feel and just sort of winding everyone up.
I think we're going to see a lot more of this in the coming weeks and months now, because it's happening, isn't it? They've got the TV deal. Jericho very much likes the idea that it's this war. He's already sent a tweet out about that, saying the Monday Night Wars are effectively starting again. It's happening. The thing I've got to say about Brock Lesnar last night, though, is that obviously there was a lot of great stuff on last night.
Oh, yeah.
I can't put into words how much I laughed when Brock Lesnar came out. And I know that's not perhaps what the desired effect was, but if you need to send out a guy who's going to piss all these people off, right, having just cut Sami Zayn out of the picture as well,
who I thought was guaranteed to win.
You almost certain was one of the top candidates. In a field, let's be honest, who had pretty much everyone except Ricochet, I would have said, was probably justified to be that holdout of the Money in the Bank. And Brock Lesnar comes wandering out, and Brock wins. And surely this has just got to be to get him on the pay-per-view for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's the age-old thing of WWE just panicking and going, what worked before? And this didn't really work before, but Vince loves him and Vince relies upon him. We did this stream last night, myself, Phil and Jules, hence why I look like this and sound like this as well. And Jules did suggest, I'm not sure if someone mentioned it in the comments or Jules just said it himself, that what if Brock comes into Money in the Bank? And I didn't even give it, I was just like,
Nah.
Yeah. And then so there's an issue with Braun Strowman and Sami Zayn, and then Braun Strowman got told to leave, and Sami Zayn was found hanging upside down by his feet. And I said he's faked it because there was no proof that Braun actually did it to Sami. And then the match started without Sami, and we were saying, well, maybe Sami's going to come down halfway through. Maybe we're going to see Bray Wyatt. Maybe Braun Strowman is just going to force his way into the match. No. After we had a fantastic men's Money in the Bank ladder match. If you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's an absolute spot fest. It's brilliant. And then, Brock comes down, pushes a ladder over and nearly kills about 3 cameramen and some audience members. Chucks Ali off the ladder, climbs up, laughs at everyone, pulls down the briefcase, points at someone in the crowd who's clearly like, and he goes, yeah, it's me, laughs. Paul Heyman gets another payday. I've got to be honest, as much as it's troll and people are pissed off, and I was a bit annoyed at the time, but I was just overwhelmed by, I was more flabbergasted than anything. I do want to see what happens on Monday Night Raw now.
Yeah, well, and there you are. That's exactly what the intention is. Yes, Lots of people are going to complain. I don't necessarily agree that it's WWE going back to the same old, like, what worked before. I think this is genuinely, it feels to me like they need to get Brock on that show, and that's how you do it. I'm not sure Brock wins the belt at all. I mean, smash cut in the future when Brock's the champ again.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, but basically, I think that's a way to do it, and I think it's a good way to do it, and hopefully, it won't be sticking around for too long, but in the moment, I'm not against it, to be honest.
And we've got another thing to deal with when we get to our Twitter questions in a second about that.
Maybe we've just got Stockholm Syndrome at this point.
Who knows?
Is that what it is?
Let's move on to the final news story, because someone else had a bit of a rant on Twitter about Money in the Bank. It was Lana who tweeted this. I love watching shows and seeing stories I wrote and pitched given to other people. This might be the 10th time this has happened in the past year. Good to know I'm really creative and that my ideas are given to others. Now, what do you think this is in reference to? Is this in reference to Bayley winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in the immediate aftermath of the Charlotte-Becky match?
Who cares?
I
joke.
As it's been suggested, could it be the spot in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match where it looked like Carmella had been taken out with injury, but she came back? Because as Michael Hamflett, wrestling encyclopedia that he is, pointed out, of course, Lana did that at this year's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I don't. It feels more, if it's going to be one of those things, I would say probably the latter. Because Lana must be kidding herself if she thinks she's in that spot where she's doing the Bayley thing. Listen, all of it seems irrelevant to me in terms of you can bitch and moan all you want online, but if Lana was good enough, she'd be in with a chance.
Yeah.
If she had made a big enough impression, they've given her a chance to wrestle. And in fairness, she hasn't exactly set the world alight. She's tried harder. She's tried hard. You can't argue that she's tried, but should she even be in that match? Should she be anywhere near a creative decision like that?
The other thing it might be is the fact that Dana Brooke's been given an opportunity she keeps banging on about. And to be fair, Dana Brooke looked great in the match last night for what she did. You know, she never... Well, actually, there was a lovely spot where she did the sort of AJ hang from the briefcase spot. Maybe that's what Lana's talking about. But either way, I think all the women who were in that match last night deserved it and deserved, no offence, to be in ahead of Lana.
But also, as two people who work in a creative environment, like, yes, sometimes you have an idea, but that's... it's not. It doesn't just mean that you automatically get that idea. It's for the whole company, to get the best product you possibly can. You work together. If they used her idea, she should almost be flattered, surely, rather than be complaining. But
you want to complain about that? What about Brodus Clay's Hall of Pain? Then they went, thanks for that. We'll give that to Mark Henry. Anyway, you're a dancing dinosaur or whatever you are. Anyway, let's move on to your Twitter questions now. Don't forget you can tweet them at us at WhatCultureWWE. First question comes from One Winged Angel, who says, with the nixing of Pac versus Hangman only a week before AEW's first official pay-per-view, such a disappointment.
Such a shame.
Are we already seeing cracks in the armour for their booking?
It's a hard one to gauge. It would be daft to just jump down the throat immediately and be like, oh my God, this could be the beginning of all of the problems.
Too many
similar
egos,
to what we
etc.
saw in WCW, where the talent were given too much creative control. It's a shame. It's a massive shame. However, in this situation, as far as I'm aware, Pac was on to do the show, but wasn't specifically signed to AEW. Is that right? Because I feel like he was still freelance.
And he was very
still
protective over his championship.
So like, I feel like he's trying to protect himself, and he's obviously worried he doesn't want the same thing to happen to him again, like happened in WWE. However, I think to the way they've done it and said about the creative differences, I know a lot of people were saying, like, could they not have just done the match? And if it is about him losing to Hangman Page, and that's what they wanted, could they not have just done a DQ finish? What kind of precedent does that set in terms of them trying to be different to WWE? That's the same. It's the same outcome as what you'd get to just facilitate the match. I think, while it's not good and it's massively disappointing, really, really disappointing.
It's one of the
match
marquee
very
matches,
much looking forward to seeing. I think it's smart that people are at this point already able to say, look, let's just put our differences aside. It's not going to work. Let's move on.
And am I right in thinking that they're going to be? They did the match as well a few days ago, and they're going to release it anyway.
So they're going to release the match with, presumably, with the DQ finish as well.
Yeah.
And that would work. But I think good on Pac for sticking to his guns.
Yes.
And I don't want to encourage the sort of Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash era.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
I just want to do what I want to do, but you know, like he's got a brand now, and he doesn't necessarily need to give that up just to be on AEW.
And he's very loyal to Dragon Gate and that championship.
They've given him a chance back to come back and have him get back into wrestling, and he did well by them previous, so it makes sense. And he's really bloody good.
Next question comes from Fatima Khan, who says, considering the rumours of Brock Lesnar appearing on SmackDown Live when they move to Fox, will WWE have Lesnar cash in on and beat Kofi Kingston instead of Seth Rollins?
That is interesting, because I don't think anybody has. Well, I'm sure people have thought about it, but I certainly hadn't thought. I assumed they would put him against Seth for the rematch, I guess, if anything. That would be interesting, because the sort of overwhelming fear that people would have that Brock Lesnar was going to come and squash this now monumental champion that Kofi Kingston is and what he represents. That is terrifying, actually. I could say it would be good if Vince is watching, man. He'd book that stuff, because that's going to fill people with fear.
And if they do it just as they go to Fox, Survivor Series is only around the corner, you can have Seth,
Absolutely.
Brock 2,
Yeah.
or 3, or whatever it is.
Whatever it is,
final question comes from I Brought a Lemon to a Knife Fight on Twitter, who
Great
says,
name.
do you think that Bayley winning Money in the Bank was a reward from management for actually showing up for work and not throwing a tantrum like Sasha, or was it just the right storyline move?
I think a combination, probably.
Yeah, little from column A, little from column B.
Little from column B. I also think that it would be interesting to see what would have happened if Sasha Banks was still very much in the fray, and whether or not that spot could have potentially been hers. I mean, you could say shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm not going to be disappointed. I'm not going to read too much into this. What I am going to say is congratulations to Bayley for becoming the first ever Women's Grand Slam champion. That's the Women's SmackDown, the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, the NXT Women's Championship, and of course the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions.
Well deserved.
Brilliant, man.
And if you'd have said to me, you're going to get a cash in on the night and Becky's going to drop a belt, you'd have had to do a lot to make me leave happy with that. But they managed to do it.
They did it perfectly.
Credit where it's due.
In one match, managed to get Bayley back over and the champion. They managed to get Charlotte Flair as the most entitled heel on the planet. Lacey Evans even got a good showing in terms
Some
of
good feuds coming off the back
great
of
stuff
it.
there. And Becky Lynch had to literally be beaten in, or have 2 matches and interference to lose to Charlotte. I think that's pretty much great for the women's division.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally. And if you haven't noticed already, this isn't Andy Murray.
What?
He is not here today,
Oh,
but
yeah.
don't worry.
I've got hair.
He is here in spirit because
Andy.
thanks to King Brandon Stock and just everyone who tweeted this as throughout last night's pay-per-view, Money in the Bank. You may have seen this when Bayley won the title. It's all over in the background. Yes, there was a push sign at Money in the Bank.
Brilliant.
There is.
I'm gutted he's not here for that. That's
Someone
so
sent this to us. I
disappointing.
will give them a name check when Andy's here tomorrow.
Yep.
The guy sent it to us who made the sign, but I haven't got it on my phone right now. But yes,
Push
there's
Andy
a
Murray, if he
push
hasn't
sign.
seen this already, is going to lose his mind. Absolutely brilliant.
Unbelievable that, isn't
I'm
it?
so chuffed for him, bless him.
Let us know what other ridiculous what culture signs we need to get at the future pay-per-views in the comment section below, and your thoughts on all today's news stories in the comment section below, of course. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can let us know your Twitter questions by tweeting them at us at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow him at
It's Adam Nicholas, and you can follow him at
Adam Wilborn. You can follow us all at WhatCultureWWE. My thanks to Adam and Nicholas. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.
Push.
Push.